All right, the second crucifixion of Jesus. Approximately 2,000 years ago, Jesus was crucified, died, and was buried by the Jewish and Roman hierarchy, uh, literally and figuratively. He was trying to resurrect the first commandment of loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. He based his whole preaching on that. Of course, it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. It sounds like there's a lot of people who just parrot some words and they know the, the literature or their translation of the literature. But you need to know who God is. You need to know what love is in order to fulfill that. But anyway, we're going to have a separate chapter on who is God, what is love, and then some of the other statements about God. God is omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient, and the creator of all things. But we're going to have a bunch of different little short videos. But in the meantime, I just want to focus on the second crucifixion of Jesus. Again, Jesus was crucified for resurrecting the first commandment of loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and pulling the rug out from underneath all the rituals and dogmas of the time. The rituals and humans and their rituals can start to become like machines, like robots. Matter of fact, you could make a better ritualistic religious person out of a robot than, or even a dog, or even a chimpanzee can be trained to follow rituals. And you think that dog or that chimpanzee or parrot was a real one of the chosen people. Robot, you get a mechanical sitting, standing, kneeling, washing hands, performing certain functions and wearing certain clothes. It becomes very mechanical. It's God, the creator of all things, that's in all things, is all things. Very complicated to love. Even see God even in your enemy, those who persecute you. Um, that's that's been nearly impossible for the majority of people. Um, it's unbearable for some denominations, some people. But anyway, let's look at what Jesus has been, how Jesus has been crucified by the thousand cuts method over 2,000 years. The second crucifixion, the slow but steady um, uh, crucifixion and burial, primarily a burial, but you got to crucify Jesus before you can bury him. But he was crucified by primarily by the Jewish hierarchy of the time, and they roped in the Romans to help go through with the process of crucifixion. Apparently, we need to have another unburying, another resurrection of Jesus, and the message of loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, because it's a cloud of mystery and burying his message. He primarily came to help the Jews return to loving God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. Um, return to a loving, intimate relationship with their Creator, with God. Um, and again, we'll have a separate little video on who God is and what love is. They're two separate videos, maybe combine them so you can fulfill this commandment. And most people don't know what love is. They don't know what God is, and they don't know both of them at the same time. And even if they were close to knowing both of them at the same time, they don't practice it. So narrow is the gate. Very few, many are called, but few are chosen. I'm going to start reading. It's going to be kind of a little mechanical. I'm going to start reading out of one of the books that I've written, the Second Resurrection of Jesus. So I'm going to just jump in there and start listing off all the reasons and the, the things that have happened over 2,000 years that have crucified Jesus a second time and buried him a second time. And hopefully we can help in his resurrection here. And that message from God, that Jesus was a messenger of this message, messenger of God, from God, um, in God. As of the beginning of the 21st century, we are presented with a similar, long overdue unburdening, resurrection, reaffirming, and or cleansing of this message of loving God with all of heart, mind, soul, and strength. Jesus and his 2,000-year-old refocus on God's original Deuteronomy 6:5 message of loving God with all our faculties has been buried by, in, and under different variants of Jews, Christians, Muslims, atheists, agnostics, communists, and other under unrelenting and unverifiable biblical rituals and dogma, coupled with 2,000-ish additional years of accumulated human-made religious sediment, rubble, and hoarding from the past before Jesus' time. As in misunderstandings, misinterpretations, multiple variant translations, and mistranslations, along with what is, could, should, or would be included in the Bible or the biblical canon. Deceptions, crosses, pieces of the cross, arcs, Peter and Paul, and again, I may add John in there, um, and maybe any of the other apostles too. Mary and Joseph, and whether they were of the lineage of David, um, if the Holy Spirit impregnated Mary, then David or Joseph being of the lineage of David isn't going to matter much, because they're not following the bloodline of David, if that's the case. Historians, archaeologists, scientists, and other characters, Josephus, Vespasian, Herod, and other Romans, the Talmud, scientific conflicts with unverifiable ancient archaic texts, questions of Jesus' life being repetitions of the mythical figures of Mithras, Adonis, Asclepius, Odysseus, Dionysus, Hermes, Orpheus, Asclepius, Sol Invictus, Horus, Osiris, Erichthonius, Perseus, Timaeus, Dumuzid, and maybe others. And then persecutions, and did Mary have other children or maintain her virginity? Were they his brothers and sisters, cousins, which it says brothers and sisters, and stop the nonsense. Mary doesn't need to stay a virgin unless you make her the mother of God, which is the most absurd statement that was ever made by anyone in any time. The mother of God. Um, Apostles, popes, and delusions of infallibility, priests, imams, rabbis, gurus, antichrists, false prophets, and others consciously or unconsciously pushing these deceptive illusions, public opinions, fads, and social engineering, Santa Claus, Rudolph, and other reindeer, Christmas trees, lights, wreaths, and other ornaments of fluff, Easter bunnies, baskets, chocolates, and egg hunts. Uh, Capitalist-induced Christmas gift giving to everyone else but Jesus on his birthday. Uh, the if, when, and how of baptism and communion, like having baptism to an infant when they don't know what the heck they're getting themselves into. They're not educated enough to know. They're becoming Catholic or whatever denomination. Sales gimmicks, misguided, guided Pauline ideas of being saved by only believing in Jesus, his name, his death, his resurrection, or faith without love. Calling priests father, delusionally narcissistic individuals, cultures, races, states, nationalists, politicians, uh, distracting debates about minutiae, errors, and all the other non-important nonsense, human-made legal systems, religious and or philosophical conflicts or controversies, Jerusalem and Bethlehem, burnt offerings and sacrifices, the Temple Mount and the Dome of the Rock, his tomb, other grave sites, tombs and gravestones, where he walked, the Trinity, his being God or not, crucified or not, resurrected or not, the Messiah or not, man or not, just one of the many Jewish rebels of the time or not, just a prophet or not, the Shroud of Turin, having children with Mary Magdalene or not, saints and their worship or even relevance, statues, idols, and images of him and other prophets and saints, and a reverence or worship of them, multiple kaleidoscopic variants or denominations of supposed representatives of Jesus or Christians, Mohammedans, and Jews, any and every distraction from the narrow path of loving God. This is just an inclusion. Anything that distracts you from the narrow path of loving God with all our faculties. And then I'm going to discuss the gauntlet of verification at some point in another video. But the narrow path is loving God with all heart, mind, soul, and strength. There's a lot of other paths of arrogance, pride, anger, resentment, greed, anxiety, a variety of different mental illnesses, self-induced or chemically induced or naturally induced hereditary disturbances. But jealousy, insecurities, fears, doubts, there's a variety of different paths. Success, fame, fortune, uh, 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 egotism. Um, there's a variety. There's a large, many other paths of that lead to destruction. They're all over the place. But there's a very narrow path, and that's loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Seeing God who is omnipresent, that means he's present everywhere, and loving God in all things. Um, uh, Again, I'm going to have a separate thing about who God is, and I'm going to have a separate video about why Jesus cannot be God and should not be God. It's not a good idea for Jesus. It contaminates Jesus, and it leads to mental illness. Um, Again, I don't want to minimize the specialness of Jesus, but making him God is a crime, is a violation of spiritual law. God is omnipresent and omnipotent and the creator of all things. And Jesus is not omnipotent, and Jesus is not omnipresent. And Jesus is not omniscient. He doesn't know all things. He's not. He's not. This omniverse we were talking about. I think we were talking about, or maybe I wasn't talking about. The omniverse is I use the term to mean all universes, in case there are other universes that are discovered. Now, the Big Bang theory claims that the universe is expanding. It has to be expanding into something, I would imagine. And whatever that something is also included into the omniverse. If it's expanding into another universe, then there could be alternate universes that in the same way we have ever. I guess I'm getting a little off the track here, going down roads I'll save for another video, maybe. Might include it here. But with all those different items in that big list, um, Jesus is lost. Like they've lost Jesus. Especially they've lost Jesus's persistence, because if people are more focused on defending the Trinity or defending that Jesus is God or the cross, or there's even an absurd Paulian thing, a little quote. I don't have the verse with me at the moment, but about saying that you have to believe in the resurrection in order to be saved. This is nonsense. There's so much nonsense. You have to believe that Jesus is God. This is nonsense. God is omniversal. God is everywhere. God is all things. God is the creator of all, and he's the creator of even my fingernail. He's constantly creating my fingernail. He's constantly creating my my skin on my neck. He's constantly creating my eyesight and generating my brain function. 99% of me and anyone else and everything else is being created on a regular basis. Even not so-called non-living things are being created or disintegrating, altering, they're being changed. Everything's alive, everything's in motion. And God's spirit is atomically charged. Everywhere around us is atomic energy. We are composed of totally, and we are surrounded by. We live in atomic energy. And I'm going to paraphrase the Paul quote, which is a good one because he has some good ones. He has a nice love chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, one of my favorites. But he's also talking to an Areopagus, I believe, talking to about all the different gods and statues, and saying that you know we live in God, in Him we live and have our being. That He's not too far from us because we are in God, and that has to be true. If God is omnipresent, if God is omnipotent, and God is omniscient, then God and the creator of all things, then he must be creating my fingernail. He must be creating my finger. He must have something to do because again, 99% of me is all or most of me I have not created. Something else is created. I'm going to say God has created that. And even if you're an atheist, the omniverse has created you and me. So the if God is uh, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent, and the creator of all things, then God must be all things. Because all this atomic energy, the atomic energy in my finger, um, must not only belong to God, must be God. Um, we are children of God. We are composed of God's Spirit. We are in God. God is in us, and we are in God. Jesus mentioned that too. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. He wants us to join him. It's just a matter of being aware of that because we are in God, and God is in us. God is our creator. The omniverse, again, for the atheist, we can talk about this. We can say the same thing with an atheist who doesn't believe in God, but they have to believe in the omniverse. We have to believe in all the atomic energy that's all around this omniverse, the whole universe, all of nature, everywhere we look, there's atomic energy. That all this atomic spirit, atomic energy is God's spirit. The omniversal God, the God of all things, is the greatest God we can have. And we're born and raised from infancy. We've been seeking harmony with our world. We were in the womb of our mother at one point, and our mother was seeking harmony for both of us at the same time. But and that she may not have found harmony, but anyway, she was being driven to it one way or another. And we now, from birth, have been seeking harmony with our world. When we're too cold, we find warmth. We want to find warmth. When we're too hot, we want to find cool. When we're agitated, we want to get rid of the agitation. When we're hungry, we want to eat. When we're full, we want to stop. When we want to sleep, we go to sleep. When we want to wake up and go, we want to go. When the car is coming at us, we want to get out of the way. We don't want to get hit. We don't want to get hurt. We want to avoid pain. We don't want to hit ourselves with a hammer. We learn the hard way. We don't want to stub our toe. We try to eliminate things. We go to the doctor. Even the doctor wants us to be in harmony. He wants to give us medication, which I'm not for, but find some kind of medication to heal an injury or an illness, psychiatric illness. But the medical community, even the law, even the legal system, technically, trying to protect us from people who are not in harmony or disturbed, uh, and give us private property rights so we can have our own little place to live. Um, so everything's about harmony with our world. Um, our whole lives are geared towards that. And the idea of loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength completely. So every part of us, all of our being, all of our faculties, loving God in harmony with the God that's 100% of us and 100% of the world around us. We are little fragments, little pieces in an omniversal, universal uh, spirit of God. Now, there may be gods or different characters within, like Jesus is probably somewhere, um, and there may be angels. Um, Certainly, that's possible with. I see that the time is already starting to get get big here. I'm trying to make this as short video as possible. I got 24 minutes in. I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes for sure. But anyway, I forgot where we're going. Anyway, I'm going to cut that short. That little line of thinking short. Um, that Jesus has been buried. The message has been buried. Uh, the, the loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength is the number one message. It it is when you come around to loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, all your sins are forgiven. This is the path that Jesus wanted us to take, and this is the path of forgiveness. Because if you return, be like the prodigal child who's been lost, chasing wealth and hookers and sex and drugs and alcohol and drama and excitement and prestige and social standing and status and we've been seeking money and seeking greed and anger and resentment and getting even. We've been doing a bunch of things. We've been going down a variety of different roads. But and we're bound to sin when we're in that, because we're sinning against the God that is in us, the Spirit of God that is in us, that we are in. We're stinking up the God that is in us and around us by our violations of going astray, going off the beaten path, going off the narrow path into a variety of different mental and emotional and spiritual disturbances. But when we return, we start loving God with our breathing and feeling our love center, and getting out of our judgments and our brains and our negative memories and conditionings, and return to loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength in everything, everywhere we go, all the time, with no excuses, not worried, not going off the path because of an enemy that's nearby, or somebody robbing you, stealing you, or doing anything. Um, we're staying on the path. When we stay on that path, all our sins are forgiven, because we're no longer going to commit sins. We're no longer going to get angry and resentful and hateful and lying, cheating, stealing, abusing, because we're in harmony and we see God everywhere and we love God everywhere. It becomes very simple once you realize it. But if you don't know what love is, and you don't know the euphoria, and the joy, and the harmony that love brings, it's there in your breathing. Find it find it and go into it. Go into love, stay in love, and see and think loving thoughts towards everyone and everything, and feel and experience love with everything and every all of you, with your body, your mind, your strength, your energy, your devotion, your attention, your thinking. Everything is devoted towards loving harmony, and you will be fulfilling your natural instincts, even from an atheist point of view. Atheist wants the same thing as the religious person is. We all, even the squirrels and the deer and the elephants and the lions, we all want harmony with our world. And when we go there and find that, loving in our breathing, and we uh, rejoin God in a harmonious way, in a loving relationship with our Creator, who's every all-referencing God. It's the most magnificent God, a God that is atomically charged in all things, everywhere. And we are in this magical place. There's another chapter I might have, is a atomic could heal with just the atomic energy in your fingertip. It's 29 minutes and 23 seconds, so I'm just about ready to close up this chapter. So until we meet again, uh, this is going to be the end of that. I did a little bunch of ranting and raving, and we'll go on to the next topic, next subject, and start clarifying it. All right. See you later.